Good evening, beautiful women. Welcome to Unwind Your Mind Quest. We had a few glitches today, so I'm recording this evening to pass it on to you all. And I'm really happy to be able to bring this to you. A gentle reset for those busy minds, the full minds, the head brain that is just chock-a-block full. And usually that means that we have difficulty settling for sleep at night. It's with us all day as we walk around, like a beautiful client that's just come into this quest actually, but one-on-one. And she shared with me today that her mind is never off and she finds it incredibly exhausting. So maybe that's similar to what brought you to this quest as well. So I just wanted to let you know that there'll be some somatic guidance in this quest. That's one of the things that is specific about it, because I found myself in my own journey that dealing with thoughts and, really that cognitive brain just wasn't enough for me to feel like I was resolving or healing or moving or shifting things at a deeper level. And so that's my big motivation for bringing this work to women. And it has been a big, big, big part of my own journey. And that's why I really am committed and dedicated to bringing it to you all. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. The second thing is simplicity. I really love to simplify things. The practices and the suggestions that I have are simple. Our lives are quite busy for all of us in this day and age, and especially if we have families or businesses or really jobs that demand a lot of us. So, simple is best. The second thing is support. So I want to make sure that you hear this. Please, can you let me know if there is anything coming up for you that you feel you need support with? And if you could just take a moment right now as you listen and put your hand on your heart and make a commitment to yourself that you will take care of yourself during this quest. And if that means reaching out for support, then please do that as well. So, a little bit about me. I'm Catherine, part somatic coach, part calm seeker, part truth teller. I work with women to stop spiraling and start breathing again. So, one of my passions is helping and supporting women to find calm inside, because sometimes we lose that. I know I did. As a mother of four, I don't know why there's a typo there. I've got four children, four adult children. I'm a social worker. That's my background. And now I've turned somatic practitioner and sacred calm coach. I know what it's like. I did it for many, many years to hold it together on the outside while you're feeling that turmoil on the inside, whether that's short term or long term or a mix of both. And the feelings of overwhelm can be really quite overwhelming at times. So if your mind has been running the show for too long, you're in the right place. You're in the right place at this quest, and I'm here to support you and help you to pause and feel calm again. So a beautiful quote here from Jung, I can't pronounce that. Anyway, someone in who's listening will be able to. When the head is noisy, listen to the heart. It often whispers what you've needed to hear. I love that because I'm very much affiliated with the heart space as well. That's another one of areas of my interest. And so in this quest, I offer you a non-judgmental space, confidentiality if you share anything with me. The only thing I can't keep confidential is the big stuff, harm to self or harm to others or criminality. And I also offer deep respect and compassion. So, what I ask of you is please show up every day to watch the replay that you have in front of you. And I ask this of you because I know that very, very often as women, we put aside our own nourishment. And I am really suggesting right now, in this moment, as you listen, that you make a commitment to yourself to watch the replays and do anything that is asked of you in the replays, which is very, very tiny, I can promise you, keeping in the theme of simplicity, and make that commitment to yourself. So it's an hour a day for the next 5 days, and you will walk away with some practices and some shifts in your views of things, I'm sure. I hope that's my intention. And I also ask that you show up, yeah, as if it was a paid experience, because this is something that I offer for free. And I value my own time. I value my own intellectual property and my own ideas. And these ideas and strategies and practices have come from my own experience. So, and things that I've learnt along the way. And I really am honoured to share them with you. I ask that you don't share any of the materials that I provide without my permission, without written consent. I really hope that you'll respect that. I know you will. And just completing the homework activity each day. Thanks. This is my sacred self map, just to show you where you are and where you can go if you choose. It's not for everybody. Not everybody chooses to continue, and that's totally fine. There's lots of reasons why, and other people do choose to go on, so it's completely individual. So the first thing is we've connected through social media. Facebook is the main platform I use. And then maybe you've come into the Reclaim You Women's Collective group as well, which is where a lot of women gather to hear the lives that I do. And occasionally I run free workshops in there and often other resources as well. I'm going to put some more things in the group shortly. So the next step after the Unwind Your Mind 5-day quest, which is where you are right now, is the Sacred Self 3-month program. And I just had a beautiful woman that I've been working with for some time. She's been through the Sacred Self 3-month program, and now she's stepped into the Emergent 6-month program. And we were discussing how in the Sacred Self program, that was really about her reconnecting with herself, really healing some of those old wounds or past traumas. And what it's enabled her to do is that she came in, we were just reminiscing. She came into the first session almost scrunched up, like I can remember she was kind of like, not literally, but she seemed sitting on the couch there with me and sort of put her head down. And now the woman that walked in today, after completing that program, is upright. She's taken on a management position in her place of work. She is she's really coming into her feminine leadership, and she's even addressed her boss and talked about how micromanagement does not work for her. She needs autonomy. And so the shift that she's had from the little mouse that came in to this strong woman in leadership, still having, her challenges with that, because we all know how difficult it can be for a woman to be in a leadership role. However, in terms of dynamics, I mean, not in terms of her ability, she's so capable. But, we do live with those patriarchal echoes in our society. So she's doing so well. It's just such a joy to support her. So if you find value during these 5 days, I would love it if you could give me a review, some kind of comments about what it was like to watch the replays and go through the experience. And if you know someone that you think would benefit from it, if you could put them in touch with me, that would be great, because I love to pass this on to other people. And on the last day, if that's okay with you, I'm hoping it will be okay to share with you what it might be like to continue on with me further than the quest. And like I said, it's not for everyone and it's totally your choice. However, it is my intention to give you so much value that in this 5 days that you would want to continue if that's what felt right for you. And the reason that's my intention is because I know what a difference this program makes. I created it out of my own time of struggle, because I went through this time in 2016 and times before that as well, but it kind of culminated in 2016 where I went into a big fear spiral. And it was connected with some fear stuff from childhood, but I didn't know it at the time. It was around the financial crisis. And it took me 10 months to get back on track. And that was when I realized that I would really love to create a map for women like me, like I was. I didn't have a map. I just had to blunder through and make my own way. And that's why it brings me great joy to bring you this Sacred Self program to you on the fifth day for you to take it, see what you feel. If you feel into it and you feel it's for you, that's great. If it's not, that's okay too. Okay, so there you go. In these 5 days, what we're going to do is today's an introduction. So we're going to clear the fog today. And that's all about when your mind is in turmoil, about gently setting an intention for calm. That's day one. Excuse me. Day two, we're going to delve into what inner turmoil is because we're going to explore what creates inner turmoil and the awareness of what inner turmoil is to bring greater and deeper understanding for you about yourself. The third day is about self-kindness that women are not always really adept at. We're very kind to other people, but we sometimes struggle to be kind to ourselves. So we'll be meeting yourself with more kindness. And then on day four, I'll talk to you about the old way and the new way of managing or working with distress, stress, or old trauma, old echoes of trauma, or even just emotional challenge or overwhelm. So there's two ways to meet your inner voice, and we're going to go through that, the head-based way and the body-based way. So day five is called quieten, should be the mind. Now we're going to anchor what you've learned. I'm going to teach you a strategy called the four flow breath that I developed, and I'm going to give you a simple body-led framework to kind of give you an idea of how to move through overwhelm, distress, stress, or trauma echoes. So I just said a little bit about my story, but partly this version of my story that I'm about to share with you is about how I came into this world of body-led healing. And it was some time ago that I was having a few challenges in my world, one of which was in my partnership with my husband. And it was like I'd come out of the heavy, intense, immersive years, as I call them, with little kids. And I realized that I wasn't able to speak my truth very clearly. I wasn't able to speak my truth very strongly. And it was some time before I realized that this was about self-trust. It wasn't about my husband, it was about me. And so I went for some somatic sessions, and one in particular stands out in my mind because I went into the session saying what I've just said to you, and I thought there was going to be a big discussion. And the facilitator, the practitioner, sorry, stopped me and said, okay, put this yoga bolster behind your back, like upright, like that. So I did. And he was a male, but a very compassionate male. I still see him from time to time. I believe that, when we're supporting other people, we need to be supported. So that's why I continue to see him probably every couple of months. Anyway, he's very skilled, so I love to learn from him as well. So I put the bolster there and he said, okay, now close your eyes and I want you to imagine your midline going from the crown of your head to the base of your spine. And so let me know when you can feel into that. You can try this if you like yourself. And so I closed my eyes, felt into the midline, and I kind of got it. Like I could feel it. I could feel this center of, going down the center of my body. And he said, now I want you to move until you feel like you're in line with that center until you feel like that's right down your energy and your sense of self is in that centered place. And I did. And it was like I just remember this specific moment when it was like an aha moment, and I felt in my body my own presence. And that was what started my journey with this somatic world, this body led world. And that's really why I'm here today, because it changed my life. And I would like to pass that on to other women. It's very, very much my purpose in life now. So how do we get here? How did you get here? Like, firstly in this quest, yes, but how do we get in emotional overwhelm? How do we get in emotional distress or challenge? How do we, get through that sea of emotions? Because often, and I'll get to this on the next slide, but for now, often we slip into autopilot survival mode. And what that is we kind of just brush things off and we just keep going. It's the soldier on mode. And so what we're feeling, and if it's old trauma as well, it just gets buried underneath the next layer, the next layer, the next layer. And if we had some messages from childhood, which I certainly did, and the client that I was speaking with today, we were discussing how she did as well, the message was, there's no space for your feelings here. And that's pretty tough when you're a little kid and you might not logically get that message and understand it, but it's something that you feel, that you just kind of know. And I was sharing that I can remember this specific incident as a child. My mum and dad did their best. This is not about blaming parents. If you've been a parent, we all know what a tough gig it is. And we just do our best, as my mum and dad did. However, this one day I was frustrated with my push bike and I had what my dad said was a tantrum. Really, I was just frustrated. I was probably about 6, I reckon. And he smacked me. So the only one time in the ever he smacked me, mum smacked us, but he didn't. And I carried with me after that, as an unconscious belief, really, which I can see clearly now, but not then. Feelings aren't allowed. You're not allowed to have those feelings of frustration. And so that kind of did put me in autopilot survival mode, because children learn pretty quick what's accepted and what's not, and we adapt. We also get in thinking loops, because what we do is we find a challenge in our emotions or in the way that we're going about life, and we try and think our way out of it. But what can happen is, which I've experienced many times, I'm sure you have, that thought leads to that thought, leads to that thought, leads to that thought, and it just goes around and around and around. And so, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. Oh, excuse me. And the next one is trauma echoes. So sometimes we've had what Gabor Mate, who is a renowned trauma specialist, he was a doctor in Canada and became a trauma specialist. He was a victim of the Holocaust. So at 6 months of age, he was placed with another family that his mother knew in order to protect him. But he didn't know that at 6 months old. All he knew was that his mother was gone. So that was what drove him to become a trauma therapist, partly. And so trauma echoes he talks about big traumas and little traumas. And it's the little traumas that are those adverse childhood events that are smaller in nature. Well, not that anything can be measured small or big, because impact is impact. However, what he explains is that, like, a car crash is easily identified as trauma. However, that incident with my frustration with my bike, when my dad smacked me, that's also trauma, a little trauma, because what I say to myself in that moment is something like, I can't show my feelings, or I'm in trouble, or I did the wrong thing, or I'm a bad girl, whatever it is, and it stays with us as an echo. And then the other thing is the search for a quick fix. Sometimes we get in this, sometimes we reach out for support services, which is great. We always want to be open to receiving support when we need it. Sometimes, though, what we're searching for is a quick fix, and we might feel better for a while. And then we get really disappointed when that thing that we worked on, like people pleasing or sadness or confusion or pain, emotional pain or overwhelm, it rises again. And part of that is being human. And part of that is also that we just were kind of quick fixing, not that I like the word fix, but we were finding a magic wand just to like sort it out. And it doesn't always go down to the depths to make it sustainable. So that's just a summary of what I've just been talking about. Uh, and this will be in your replay so you can read over that again. And now I want to show you one simple practice to help you to become grounded so that if you ever are in overwhelm, this is a really great technique by Lisa Schwartz. Lisa developed the comprehensive resource model. You can look it up if you like. She has a lot of different breathing techniques that she teaches to practitioners as part of the program. But this earth breathing one I find really useful with clients, with my women clients, and with myself. So find a comfortable place where you won't be interrupted for maybe about 5 minutes. This is really simple and it's something that you can use in a 5 minute slot. So you can be sitting or lying, it doesn't matter, and make sure that you're not going to be interrupted. So I invite you to close your eyes. If you don't want to close your eyes, then please look down at a fixed point and start by imagining underneath your feet the earth, like just like the picture there. And imagine the earth in its strength and in its resourcefulness under you. And then pick a leg, ask your body, not your brain, left leg or right leg. And I'm going to say right leg for me. And then imagine the earth bringing energy up through your right leg, all the way up to the base of your spine, and then going down the left leg back into the earth. And now what you can do is bring that energy up again through your right leg, or whichever leg you've chosen, to sit at the base of your spine. And this time you can identify anywhere in the body where there's physical or emotional, distress or discomfort. And imagine that energy going up to that spot and then down the left leg and back into the earth. And then imagining that energy coming up the leg again that you designated to sit at the base of the spine. And I just felt myself sigh then, even though I didn't try to do that. It was just something natural that happened. And then the energy goes down the other leg down into the earth. And you can do that as many times as you want, but that's a beautiful breath technique. I want to pause here. I've just remembered something that I forgot to share with you. And that is that in no way is this Unwind Your Mind quest a replacement for any therapy or counselling or support that you're receiving. It can sit alongside it though as another level of support and learning. And also, I always say with whatever I present, whatever resonates with you, keep that. Anything that doesn't resonate, allow it to pass through. And the other thing that I forgot to mention is that I've ended up recording this because there were some glitches today for people with their Zoom, etc. And so I'll be checking in with you regarding the homework. And it's very simple homework, but I'll be checking in with you just to support you as if you were attending live. So thanks. So what are our automatic pilot ways? These are the ways that this is what we do when we don't know what to do with our overwhelm, when we don't know what to do with our strong emotions. And a little bit similar to what I shared just a minute ago, but overthinking is a big one, was for me. And that's why I put the spiral there, because that's what it felt like. But overthinking, endless analyzing, trying to find the perfect solution. And that saying, analysis paralysis. So we go over it and over it and over it, and we can't find our way out because we're thinking, and we can do other things to come into resource around that. We avoid, we scroll, we numb with food, we have alcohol, we get busier, and distraction becomes a lifestyle. If I don't feel it, it's not real. So we really avoid it. The next thing is we brush it off, which I touched on before. We ignore or we devalue or we sweep it under the carpet. I don't want to feel that now. And it gets like with a bottle with a lid on it. And the next one that women are really good at saying is, I'm fine. Are you okay? I'm fine. And the pressure builds up under that mask, and we smile through the storm and we don't ask for help. And then that last picture is we either explode on other people or we implode and we blame ourselves. We feel mother guilt or woman guilt or self guilt, and everything just builds up because the nervous system is just overloaded. This is my sacred self map, and I wanted to share this with you because if you want, which is what I do when I do this quest in one-on-ones, see up the top on the left, there's the center calm connect. That is the 3 pillars of this program. And the center is these 2 topics, sanctuary of safety. And this is about how safe you feel inside yourself with yourself. So often when we've had traumatic things, big or little, like I said, our sense of safety inside of ourselves is upended, it's disrupted, it's, interrupted. And so this question, and you can score yourself 10 is high, 1 is low. So it's not about getting it right, and there's nothing wrong if you score low, nothing at all. It's more about, what's the opportunity for growth? And on day 5, I'll give you this map again and you can score yourself again and see the shift. So first question, sanctuary of safety. How often can you center inside yourself like what I described and feel safe inside your body, even during stress or emotional discomfort? So what would you put that as out of 10? Just give you a moment to do that. And you can just answer quite quickly, like just take the number that comes up because it's not a scientific experiment. It's just it's kind of an indication of where you're at the moment. And then on day 5, we'll look at it again. So the next one is attuned to emotions. So can you feel emotions in your body without needing to fix, avoid, or control them? So that means how able are you to be with what you're feeling? So I'll give you a moment to score that one. Out of 10, 10 is high, 1 is low. And then we have calm. This is connection to compassion. How able do you feel to meet yourself with compassion, acceptance, and kindness when you're struggling? Self-kindness, that is. And then the next one is remember inner wisdom. So this is about the head, heart, and gut intelligences. This comes from M-braining, which is I'm certified a certified MBIT coach. That's multiple brain intelligences, and it was developed by Grant Susalu and Marvin Okra, and it's a wonderful program. And I love using it with clients because it really helps to feel like we're in alignment. So, how attuned do you feel to your head, heart, and gut intelligences? Now, you may know about head, heart, and gut intelligences, or you may not. Either is fine. And I just invite you to score from 10 to 1 according to what you understand or what you don't, and how attuned you feel to those. Probably, if you've never heard of it, you will be familiar with sayings like, I just didn't have the guts to do it. That's really gut intelligence. Or I could really feel that pain in my heart. That's heart. Or oh, it was all in my head, you know. So we know on some level. We might not know the depth of it, but we understand it on some level. So 10 is high, 1 is low. The last one is connect. And this is about embodying sacred self. So sacred self, as you can see, is the central point of this whole program because it's what led me back to myself. Once I connected with that sacred part of me inside where I could honor myself as a woman, honor that I could conceive, carry, birth, and raise a child, honor that central part of me that makes me unique as a human, being a woman. That's whether you've had children or not. And honoring that because in a patriarchal society, women have not always been honored. And we want to bring that back to ourselves, for ourselves, by ourselves. So, how connected do you feel to your sense of sacred self beyond roles, responsibilities, and others' expectations? Excuse me. So, that this is connect that we're in now. And the last one is discernment and self-trust. So, how able are you to trust your inner knowing? How able are you to discern for yourself if that's right for you or if that's not, doesn't feel right for you, and be able to trust that? So, just high 10 is high, 1 is low. And this map can support you to gently identify the inner territory you're navigating, not from a place of fixing, but from curiosity and can't read that. Compassion, it will be. Okay, so you can always go back to this, replay it, and have another look at it if you're unsure about each section. So, why the sacred self way? So, why I believe that this way is a really supportive, empowering way. Firstly, it's around the cognitive, traditional cognitive talk therapy methods. I'm not saying they don't have their place. They definitely do. It's definitely helped me in the past. And I know that a lot of people find a lot of support from talk therapy, and that's totally great and totally fine. However, what I find is that when we support our healing with the body, we tap into the innate wisdom of the body. And there's been quite a lot written about this in recent years. People like Peter Levine, who's a trauma therapist, I always get his name wrong, Bessel van der Kolk, he wrote The Body Keeps the Score. There's been lots of people that have written about, the value of connecting with the body in order to heal emotional, even trauma, specifically trauma, actually. And then the other one is so the somatic way goes beyond intellectual ways that teach but don't deeply heal. And also goes past, you know, how a lot of the time I know when I was doing talk therapy, it was like a download. It was like, which has its place, but it was just like an offload. It wasn't really getting in deep to deep change or deep transformation. We established safety in the body. That was the first thing on the sacred map. And what this does is it provides an anchor inside again that you can come back to. And I really love to share this with people because I believe it's something that we can take into any modality, any class, anywhere, to have that resource of safety within the body that we can come back to. So, whenever we're doing any trauma processing or emotion processing, we can dip our toe in, come back to safety in the body, dip our toe in, so that nothing is the intensity of the facilitator. It's actually about your own pace. What else? It guides us to a healing journey to authenticity. So that's where we're all headed. That's all what we all want, to be comfortable in our own skin, to be our own self, no matter where we are, without changing or adapting ourselves for someone else. And my wise friend Alison, who is no longer with us, she died in September last year. She once told me that the biggest mistake we can make, particularly as women, is adjusting and adapting who we are for the comfort of other people. So that lands pretty big, doesn't it? That one. Yeah. That's different to, not that we really want to change ourselves for anyone, but sometimes we adapt or we compromise in order to meet someone's needs. That's kind of different. We might need to do that, especially with little children. But this is about adjusting who we are for the comfort of others. Yes. So just working out where I'm up to. I might just pause there for a minute so that you can have a moment to kind of go, well, what have we covered so far and where am I with it? Just to kind of get you grounding. And just notice, is there a subtle shift already, maybe in the way you're thinking or the way that you view things? Has anything dropped for you? I'd love to hear in the messenger chat if something has landed for you, a little aha moment or a little insight. Be great to share in the group if you feel that you'd like to do that. And the other part of why the Sacred Self Way is there's really two pathways to healing. As I said, I've simplified this. So both matter, and the body is a must for leading lasting change. So mind-led healing starts in the thinking brain. It focuses on naming and understanding and analysing patterns. And NLP would fit into that. I don't know if you're familiar with neuro-linguistic programming, but that would fit into that kind of healing. As I said, nothing wrong with either. Both have their place. Body-led healing begins with sensation and presence and focuses on what the body remembers and supports integration and deeper transformation. So Gabor Mate, who I spoke of before, he talks about trauma happens in the body, so we heal it in the body. And we talk a lot in recent years in this field of top-down, working with things top-down, cognitive from the mind, from the head, or bottom-up. And I'll just mix those up. Top-down, sorry, is things like CBT, narrative and dialectal behavioural therapy. And the bottom-up stuff is on the other side, which is somatic therapies and deep brain reorienting and the sensory motor therapies and things like that too. So that just gives you an idea. So a woman's story, a beautiful woman, they're all beautiful in my eyes. And whenever I work with someone, I only see their light. I know that they might have struggles and difficulties, but I don't know, I just see who they are beneath all that. This beautiful woman that's been through experiences and life stuff. And I can still see the light shining in all of us. So a woman came to me into the Sacred Self program. She had quite high anxiety. It was kind of making her quite isolated and it interrupted her life. So she often stayed home because of it and she never really stepped into her power or into her passion, the thing that she wanted to do with her life, or even traveled at her own pace. She was always kind of there for other people or however, whatever that was, especially her family members. So she learned in the program how to have her anxiety stand alongside her rather than be in front of her, blocking her way. And in one somatic session in particular, I remember very well where she recalled a time when she'd left her country of origin as a little girl and left a loved one, a very dear, loved person in her family there. And even though she was only 4, she was able to access those deep sensations of what that was like to leave, to have that loss. And following that, and somatically, we worked with that at her pace, and she was able to feel the release of that. And following the Sacred Self program, she kind of came across, well, she always knew it, but she stepped into it more, her affiliation with healing for animals, and that's what she's pursuing now. So she found her path. So that's it for tonight, really. If there are any questions, a little bit of homework in a minute. If there are any questions that you want, you can message me privately on Messenger if you have any questions or any reflections that you don't want to share in the group chat. Please feel free to share them in the private chat with me. And today, what we've done, actually, no, first of all, what I'll do is explain to you the homework task. So, this is a commitment letter to yourself. This is not a writing exercise. This is a feel into your body as you connect with these words. You can change the words if you wish. Most women find they resonate, but if they don't, please change them. We want to keep it brief though, because if we make it really long, it can land in a different way, and we want it to be caught and absorbed in easy, simple terms. So what we do with this exercise is you need a pen and paper, so maybe a journal, and to write out this commitment letter to self with deep honouring, not just writing. So I, Catherine, commit to being open to stepping into courage because I'm worthy of having the life I really want. And the next layer of invitation is for you to read that out loud and feel what it feels like in your body to read it out loud. Because one of the powerful things I learnt in my journey in 2016 was the power of speaking aloud. Because when we have it going around in our minds over and over and over, it just goes round and round. But when we speak it out loud, it's going out into the universe. We've spoken it and we've heard our voice say those words. So it's a really powerful exercise and I really encourage you to do it. So questions and answers. And the last thing, which I would love you to do, is to share what you're taking away with you from today, from this session. If you could share it in the chat, that would be really great so that other people can see what each other have written. Might be something really simple, but it's lovely to share it. So that concludes today. What we've done in this session is I told you about my origin story, about my first experience or big experience of somatic healing with the yoga bolster and the centeredness. We talked about common emotional patterns that are all rooted in survival. Anything that we avoid or shove down, it's the nervous system really taking care of us, trying to protect us, saying, not yet, don't let that out in the open, protect, protect, protect. And we talked about why body healing is different to more head focused or cognitive ways of healing. And I gave you an experience of scoring the roadmap, the Sacred Self roadmap. So this is the beginning today. We're not all the way there yet, but this is the beginning. And tomorrow we deepen this clarity, and I can't wait to see what you discover tomorrow as we step into the next segment of our day, of our quest, sorry. Thanks so much for being with me. I can't wait to hear what you have to share from today. Have a great evening, day, wherever you are.